it appears that money seems to solve everyone's problem. That includes the likes of the stolen generation issue that we've got at the moment and the whole National Sorry Day, the Reconciliation Day that we've been trying to do for quite some time. But the problem is money doesn't fix everything, except we are throwing a bunch of money at the survivors of the stolen generation, plus also loads of the other Indigenous Australians that just say, hey, guess what? I've been oppressed. And sorry is not good enough. We need to not just say sorry, we need to act on our sorry. And we don't just say sorry once, we need to say it every single bloody year. And we need to have a day whereby we recognize the national significance of every single Australian being sorry for something we didn't even bloody do. We are sorry for our ancestors supposedly doing the wrong thing. Now, I understand if you don't know anything about Australia's history, we had a period of time between 1910s and 1970s where we had the stolen generation. Essentially, the idea was to root out the Indigenous Australians' culture and heritage by trying to make them assimilate into the white culture. I don't know what was going through their brain at the time. Goodness knows, because we weren't there, right? But goodness knows why they decided to do it, why they thought it was a good idea. It was a horrible idea. We can understand that now. But the past generations were doing what they thought was best at that particular time. We can all look back on it and go, yeah, that was horrible. That was terrible. But back then, I'm sure if you had have asked them when they were doing it, hey, we think this is actually going to be a good thing for Indigenous Australians, getting them accustomed to Australian culture or what they claim to be white culture. Sure, it had some very, very dark implications to it. But the problem that I've got today, at least, is why do we, the generations of today, why do we need to make up for the past generation's mistakes by paying for like reparations and things like that? Because Australia, get this, if you are a taxpayer, not only do you have to pay tax and, you know, give a lot of your finances so that the Aboriginals can have free healthcare, free education, free housing, free dental, free insurance, basically everything for free in Australia. Not only do we, the white person, have to pay for that, but we've also got to fork out reparations. And this isn't just for survivors of the stolen generation, which I believe is about 33,000 of them around Australia, which is not that many, believe it or not, still quite a bit. But we've also got to pay $85,000. This is just in WA, but in other states, except for Queensland at the moment, we're the only state that thankfully hasn't gone, oh, we need to pander to the likes of the stolen generation or just the Aboriginals because sorry isn't enough. And then we need to fork out however much they want to fork out to give to these people as sort of like payment for us being sorry. You know what that means? And that signifies to me, it's like the only way you can ever truly be sorry in their eyes is give us money. How is giving you money showing that you're really sorry? What has money got to do with showing someone that this is a step towards healing and reconciliation? How is, let me ask you this happened in WA recently, Western Australia is going to compensate through a state government scheme offering payments of up to $85,000 each. How is giving an Aboriginal that may or may not have been part of the stolen generation, how is giving them $85,000 each going to fix all the pain and all the trauma that they've supposedly experienced? Gee, I'm no psychologist, I'm no doctor, but to me, I'm going, why is money the only thing that you're going to give them? And that's going to supposedly work towards healing and reconciliation. Gee, maybe if you really wanted healing and reconciliation, you wouldn't divide us even more by giving these people $85,000 plus also giving them everything for free while you're at it. But that's not going to be enough. That's the other issue that I've got. The more you give these people, the more they're going to keep their hand out and say more, more, more. It's not enough. And then they'll continue blaming, oh, I've got pain, I've got trauma. Wouldn't you think that the objective of you healing from your trauma is to actually do the work to heal from the trauma, not asking constantly for handouts for money and blaming the white man? It's all the white man's fault. I hate to break it to you, but no, it's not. You are responsible for your own life, are you not? You have a choice, just like every other white Australian, ethnic Australian, doesn't matter. You've got a choice. You may be a First Nations person or an Aboriginal person, but you have a choice, just like everyone else here. You have an equal opportunity, right, to make something of yourself if you live in Australia. That is the beauty of Australia. Now, I understand we have the social economic thing, but if you are being given free education, free healthcare, and you have Centrelink payments and everything like that, and you're taking it all for granted and doing nothing with your life, don't expect for anything good to come into your life. It's just going to keep getting worse. You're going to keep being miserable because you're not taking ownership of your own life. Instead, you've got this victimhood mentality. So the state in WA under Premier Roger Cook has called this readiness scheme of $85,000 reparations back to the Indigenous Australians as a step towards healing and reconciliation. How do you suppose that's actually going to bring you a step forward? Money doesn't fix everything. It doesn't fix a thing at all. It actually can expand upon the problems you've already got, because then they're going to go, oh, my $85,000 is done. I need more reparations. I've got more trauma. Look at what happened to me. You're just making a rod for your own back, and no one seems to understand that. So guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Today, I'm officially going to identify as an Aboriginal. What about that? You can have 0.000.8% Aboriginal in you, and you can still reap all the benefits that the white man, myself, a business owner, has to fork out. And now they want me to pay reparations for something I didn't even do? Get real? Get lost? No, thank you. I'm actually so done with days or weeks. They've got a whole week now, Reconciliation Week. They want all of us to continue to feel sorry for something we didn't even do. That is wrong. This is a policy based on victimhood mentality, and it's working. It's working in Australia, and we wonder why we've got so many problems in this country. It's because no one has the stones to say anything about this. And if they do, they get called a racist. It's not racist to point out the facts. The fact is, you don't need money. What you need is a grip on your life. Move on. The stolen generation was a long time ago, thankfully, many, many years ago. So why are we still paying for it today? The survivors of the stolen generation, they're being well taken care of, as far as I'm aware. Their kids have been well taken care of now. You know why? Because they complained, they yelled and screamed, they jumped up and down, or some people actually realized, hey, maybe what happened to them wasn't good. Maybe we need to do something about this. But saying sorry as a country didn't solve the issue. Saying sorry, thanks to Kevin Rudd, it wasn't good enough. It wasn't. No. You shouldn't have said sorry, Kevin Rudd. Australians should not have said sorry. The ones that should have said sorry were the ones that actually did it. They were actually part of committing the atrocities during the stolen generation, not the future generations. That's insane to me. Why be penalized for something you didn't even do? That's not justice. That to me is actually insanity. That's unjust or unjust, if you look at it properly with unactivist kind of eyes. I made a video yesterday about why Australia shouldn't have said sorry. Because then you have days like this and you have people that will go, sorry is never going to be enough. We're going to continue saying sorry until goodness knows when. Sorry for them is not good enough. $85,000 payments is not going to be good enough. Nothing will ever be good enough. So why bother? They don't really care about the sorry. They're never going to forgive. What is there to really forgive exactly? Dealing with trauma. For the actual survivors, the 33,000 Indigenous Australians that were part of the stolen generation, I actually feel like they need to be obviously supported in some way. But for their kids or whoever else that wasn't even part of the stolen generation, no. If you are a survivor of the stolen generation, fair enough. If you actually are part of the stolen generation and you're in your 50s or you're older, you should be looked after. 100% you should be. But I'm not paying reparations. No way in hell. You should be looked after in terms of your healthcare, like every other Australian. You should be looked after. I agree with that. But I shouldn't be saying sorry. I can feel horrified by what happened. It was a horrible period in Australia's history. It's a horrible marking. But the past is the past. Are you going to continue being a victim of the past and not move forward? Or are you going to go, you know what, that happened to me. It also happened for me. And I'm not going to be a victim here. I'm going to use this pain to my advantage. See, most people don't have that perspective. And I can imagine there have been quite a lot of Indigenous Australians that were part of the stolen generation that actually just got on with life, that actually just were like, you know what? Being and wallowing in self-pity is not going to get me anywhere. So therefore, I'm going to do whatever I possibly can to make something of myself. One of my good friends is Aboriginal, and he's made something of himself. He's a businessman. I look up to him. I respect him enormously. I love him to death. And to know that, you know, his father and his grandfather, both Aboriginal, they all taught hard work. They all made something of themselves. That is the Australian way. See, what this is doing is dividing Australians. Saying, you're not Australian because you're not Aboriginal. Or it's un-Australian not to pay reparations. It's just the division is growing. And the more people jump on this bandwagon of the victimhood mentality, the more divided Australia is going to be. The whole Voice was shocking. Divided Australians even more. And it's going to continue going that way if we allow it. Anyway, that's enough from me, but you guys take care, be blessed, and I'll see you all in the next video.